What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. I'm once again joined by Tyler. And in this video, we want to discuss everything that didn't make sense about Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. Now, we've already talked throughout many of these different videos about specific things, right? We've already kind of isolated some specific big things about this movie that we're upset about, whether it be characters, whether it be plots, all that kind of stuff. In this one, we're going to try and rattle off some different ones, maybe explain some different ones that we haven't exactly gone too much into depth, but kind of give like a listing of everything that Tyler and I can think of that didn't exactly make sense with this movie. And to me, and some of these things, again, have already kind of been said, so just brace yourself for that. The thing with me, there's three main things that didn't make sense about this movie. The fetch questing thing, the whole idea of it, that it didn't need to even be there, that's the first one. These aren't in any order. Palpatine being back, or the Emperor being back, but not giving any explanation of how that works or why or his entire plan in general. And also the ending. You know, besides the whole Rey and Kylo kiss, the whole First Order getting destroyed somehow because the Emperor died. There's just like, those are the big three things to me that's like, why though? Like, why? And I've said it before in different videos, maybe before this video, maybe after this video. The words why and how come to mind a lot with, but how? How did the Emperor survive? Are you going to tell us? Like, yeah, there is a thing like show, not tell. Like, that is a thing. But they didn't show us that either. So, like, how did he survive? Why did he survive? Why is his plan to have Rey? Like, I guess I get it, so that's not really a question. But, like, shouldn't he have maybe had a backup plan? Like, he's always kind of had backup plans, or he's always at least been very, very confident in himself and given the person more than one chance. Like Luke, he gave multiple chances to join him. But with Rey, it was like, well, I'll just suck your and Kylo's life force because you guys are like perfect human beings. So like, let's just do that instead, even though that wasn't the original plan. So like, did that need, like, was that part of his like thought process? Again, the whole ending, like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening in the ending, but the whole Rey and Kylo versus Palpatine, and then when he dies, firstly, if that even makes sense, like, can he just turn off the electricity, like shut his power down, don't pay the power bill, and then he'll be fine. He'll never die, because the only way that he ever dies or gets hurt in any of these movies is the electricity. It's weird how they could never have found something else that would actually hurt him. But then he goes away, and that didn't make sense either. He goes away, obviously, then all the ships just explode and blow up, and the entire First Order is just somehow gone, even though there's many of them across the entire galaxy. I get it. Their leaders are gone, and so when the leaders are gone, the troops tend to disperse. But it's just such a big galaxy, and there are high-ranking officials that would take over, right? Unless you take out a lot of them, which they didn't necessarily do. They showed a couple of them, but not all of them. And again, like, you could think of it like in a war in the world now, but it's so much bigger than that because it's an army that goes across like literally the entire universe. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's different. And so that didn't exactly make sense that the movie shouldn't have actually ended in a weird way, right? The whole movie is incredibly strange in that way. I mean, there's the thing with everything that didn't make sense. It's weird because you don't want to necessarily, like, I could even argue the whole Rey thing. Why is she always, and I get it, like, they did tell us why, but does she need to be that powerful at the beginning and end of this movie? Like, did that need to happen? Why did the electricity need to happen, right? Like, yes, we get it, connection to Palpatine, but like, Dooku did it. Multiple Sith in the past, you could look at lore in general. They have done it. It's not a Emperor-specific move, right? It's not like he's the only one who knows how to use that move. So it's just very, very, like, why did that happen? Like, did that even make sense? Did they need to show something like that? Again, like the fetch quest stuff, like, if you think about what they were doing in this movie, they were just going from place to place to place and getting thing to thing to thing. That's all they were doing from beginning to end of this movie. And generally, the entire idea, again, of what this movie is to get Rey to the Emperor. That was the entire thing. Just get Rey to the Emperor for her to kill him. And it's even more specific than that. She could have killed him because spoiler, she actually did. But the point is, she just couldn't kill him with like anger and like that kind of stuff in her heart, right? She couldn't do it in a malicious and evil way. Otherwise, she would be fulfilling what he wanted to do. Does that even necessarily make sense? Like, if you have the power if he has the power of all the Sith, and if he dies, right, and he can kind of jump into you, which, by the way, and that's one of the more maddening things is that's kind of a hint of what the ending was actually supposed to be. Remember the whole Matt Smith thing, how the Emperor was actually never supposed to be there, and his like spirit goes into Matt Smith, and then his spirit goes into Kylo, and then Rey has to kill Kylo. I feel like that's what it was more or less trying to do, but I feel like that was all kind of reshot and redone, and that's the biggest thing is like the way they did it now, like maybe it looks more visually cool that you actually get to see him, but like does it actually make sense that if he has all the power of the Sith in him and when he dies or when he gets killed by somebody, he can jump into that person? Why is there that stipulation that, but they need to be like evil first though? Like they need to do it maliciously, because if they just do it on accident or if they do it for kind of like the good of the galaxy, again, like I talked about in a couple of videos ago, Mace Windu was going to kill him. Does that make him a Sith? If he killed him, would he have inhabited all of the Sith in him because he did it with, and even him, I mean, Mace Windu was wanted to kill him, right? Like that, like he was like, he's too dangerous, like I'm going to chop this guy in half, right? It's like, okay, he was even doing it for a more malicious intent than Rey would have done, and nothing probably would have happened because Mace Windu was doing it for, like he knew if he kept him alive, what happened for the rest of 3, 4, 5, 6, and all that kind of stuff, that would have all happened. So he was doing it for a good reason. And same thing with Rey. Like Rey wasn't going there because she was filled with, I mean, yeah, they did kind of show that she's kind of fit. Like, could she go evil? We don't know, even though it was pretty obvious. But like, she was just going there to take him out so that they could be rid of him because he's a threat. He's evil. They need to get rid of him. She wasn't going there because she hates everybody and she's going to kill everybody in her path. That's not her intent. So that wasn't even the plan. That wasn't even her plan. But for some reason, the Emperor thought that was going to be her plan. So, like, see what I mean? That doesn't exactly... His whole plan is kind of based off of, like, a hope that she'll do it in, like, again, like an aggressive way. When it's like... Can you define that? Because if she's doing it, if she cuts you aggressively, but she's doing it because she's just trying to save the galaxy from you, does that give you enough reason? Like, does that fill the qualifications to then inhabit her body? Or is it because she's your granddaughter, which also makes no sense whatsoever? How did that even happen? When did that even happen? Why? I mean, all of the who, what, when, where, what, all that stuff could apply to that. So I don't necessarily know how any of that stuff works, to be honest. And you could say, well, JJ explained it this way. To be honest with you, though, even if you want to argue the whole she was his granddaughter thing, it like why did she that was not the overall plan. That's actually ultimately I'm trying to get at. It was not the plan to bring him back. It was not the plan to connect her in that way. I feel like that's what he had to do because of episode 8, but I do not buy for 1 second that was the original thing he had planned in episode 7. I just do not buy that for 1 second. So you could try and defend the choices regarding his plan and him and Rey all day long, all that you want to, but I think I'll always just come back to but they kind of forced it, though, didn't they? Because it wasn't what they were going for in 7. It wasn't even what they were going for in 8. They were going in a completely different direction, and then JJ stopped the bus and turned it around at some point, right? So that's my thoughts on this. I want to hand over to Tyler to see what he thinks.
How long do you guys have? Because this is a long list. No, I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. Everything that didn't make sense. In my opinion, the biggest thing was why... I mean, okay, this is kind of a tough one because some of this is going to be like, why did they do it this way? And some are going to be what just didn't simply make sense story-wise. This is a why did they do it this way? Literally, almost every single death, and we have the every death is meaningless video. But none of this part doesn't make sense. Why would you act like Rey killed Chewie when 2 minutes later you're just going to tell me that he was in a different transport ship, you have the prisoner, he's not dead. That makes no sense to do that. Why did you make me feel, or make Rey feel like, upset, but then literally after they're like, basically when they're like, Chewie's gone, it's almost like, let's get on with it, let's move on, we gotta keep going, and no one's upset in the movie. Simply because the next scene is that we find out that he's fine. That was the stupidest thing. I actually think that was the dumbest thing in this entire film. More than... Here's another thing that doesn't make sense. The fact that the Emperor is back and they don't feel the need to tell you why. They show you that he has Snoke clones, a handful, 2 or 3 there. But they don't even tell you how the Emperor survived, how he's back, nothing. Is he a clone? What did he possess somebody else's body? Is it actually him? Like, they didn't even explain any of it. How did he have a son? When did he have a son? Did he manipulate the midichlorians? Was the sun force sensitive? Or none of that. Why would you? Why? Because you want me to buy a book? What? That makes no sense to me. Exegol. Literally all of it. Just Exegol. I don't even have to say anything else. I guess I will. He dies, but doesn't die on the Death Star. After, obviously, Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Makes his way to this planet that's very difficult to get to, by the way. Makes his way there, though. Even though on the brink of death, he finds a way to get there. Then he has an entire underground base with cloning, like all of this high-tech stuff, keeping him alive. He's hooked onto this machine that wasn't there, by the way. Of course, I mean, that machine that was keeping him alive wasn't there. It was built to then keep him alive. How did he survive long enough for them to make that machine? And who was even on that planet? That planet looks inhabitable. So how did that even happen? The fleet, I mean, he's got the Final Order. He's got thousands of these ships, all these troops, brand new. I mean, I don't understand any of it. And then he's able to lift them out. He's able to lift all these ships out of the planet. But yet he can't just, like, why did he not start off when he meets Rey? Why did he just not suck the Force out of her right then and there? Or just, like, snap her in half or snap Kylo Ren in half if he's that strong before absorbing their spirit. There's so many questions. The C-3PO thing. Why would you tell me that he has no backup? You felt the need to tell me he's got no backup with R2-D2. And then you, quote-unquote, kill C-3PO. A few minutes later, R2-D2 literally gives a backup drive that brings C-3PO back. You told me he doesn't have the drive to then have R2-D2 actually have the drive. What was I supposed to say to myself? Aw, R2-D2 loves C-3PO. I never thought that once. I literally thought, hey, it's a robot that they used as a disk drive, and he was like an external hard drive, and he just saved some data. Okay. I mean, you told me he couldn't, but he did, so I guess joke's on me. Dumb. So dumb. Rey, I assume. Now, I'm not as mad as I was when I first saw the movie. I assume Rey trained over time to do this whole Force healing thing. I assume that she did it accidentally. Maybe while she was training, she hurt some kind of animal, cute little animal, and she healed him, and then that's how she learned about it. That's totally possible. Maybe Leia informed her about it. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Here's what does. The fact that she does it twice in this film. So when she does it to Kylo Ren, and he looks at her like, what did you just do? I'm confused on how he is able to do it without ever practicing. He's able to do it on her. But not only does he heal her, he brings her back to life. Simply because he closes his eyes and concentrates. I feel like it should be a little bit more difficult to bring somebody back to life. Especially when and I understand, when you switch sides, maybe your soul completely changes. I don't really care, though. I feel like he went through so many things emotionally within that, like, I'm just going to say it, like an hour or two in movie time, not literally watch time, but like if it was real, I feel like it would be like an hour or so between when he healed her, switched sides, found her, all of that. I just feel like I don't know if it would really be possible for him to fully grasp how to basically transfer his life. So that's strange to me. There's so many things, and obviously Alex covered a lot of them, but the biggest one for me is Exegol, the Emperor, the fleet, just none of that makes sense. The Emperor's plan doesn't make sense. He wants Kylo Ren to kill Rey, but he actually wants Rey to come to kill him so that he can then, and all of the Sith can be in Rey, but then... But he could have just done that, I guess, with Kylo Ren, couldn't he? And then, because he would have been a Kylo Ren could have just killed Rey, then all of the Sith and Kylo Ren and the Emperor, who was in Kylo Ren, would then also be in Rey. I just don't understand. The plan would have been a lot better. None of that makes any sense. Actually, in fact, none of this movie makes sense. So everything that doesn't make sense is just the Rise of Skywalker. The whole thing. None of it. It doesn't even make any sense. Finn is super force sensitive, and they tell you about 15 times that he is, which is, I guess that's fine. I don't know. It's just to add on to it. And here's another thing that makes no sense, then I'm done. Finn is super force sensitive, but there's not going to be another movie. Janna, it's almost implied that Lando is Janna's father. So it's like, okay, yeah, let's go on Jerry Seinfeld, whatever that show is, and we'll do the test. Let's see. Maybe I'm your father. They almost imply that like there's going to be another one of those movies. Won't happen. There's just a couple things. Rey's ending. Like there's totally more that can happen. We don't know what it's going to be. I personally think there's going to be an episode 10 now because this movie has done so bad. I don't think they have a choice. But again, that's a different video.
So guys, let us know in the comments below. What do you think? What are the things in this movie that you think don't make any sense? Do you think that everything does make sense? Is there anything that we said that you think you can answer? If so, definitely let us know in the comments below. And thank you guys so much for watching. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Make sure you guys are subscribed, have that bell icon hit, all of that good stuff. More Star Wars content coming for you guys every single day, and we hope to see you guys there.